Howdy chaps, and welcome back to part 3 of this XC wagon rust repair. I suspect, considering this is going to be a contingency series, I'm going to run out of fingers eventually. Probably when I get to about series 10, episode 10 for this, I'll probably go, episode 10! Dang. But anyway, we're up to putting in the outer skin basically, because we've fixed the gutter, behind the gutter, cleaned all the rust, replaced a couple of sections of the actual frame of the car. So now we're basically working our way back from the most bottom layer all the way up to the top. If you've enjoyed the last couple of episodes, I've been absolutely hammering them out. I'm trying my best because now we've got some good content. I can keep pumping out videos. When content starts drooping, the videos start getting further apart, but now that I have plenty of interesting work to show, I can keep pumping out videos and keep everybody happy. Also, I'm pretty stoked with everybody's response to the new EJ. That is mint. Also, you know you have influence on people when your missus buys cars from crashed auctions as well. So that happened, so it looks like I'm going to be fixing a VF Commodore in a few weeks, but you know, that's just it. Got it for a good price. Pretty stoked actually. It's the one I wanted to start my 50k challenge with, but it kept being removed from the auction. I don't know why. Every time it come up it was pulled, and then this is the one auction I didn't quite have. I wasn't comfortable because I just bought the EJ, I just put new trans in the XB. I've had some funds spent and I was a little bit depleted, so this I was like, I'll just skip this auction. And it's up and it goes, and she's like, I want to bid on that. I said, well, bid. And it came up for way less than I thought it ever would. One bid, she won it. I was like, congratulations. I'm totally excited for you. No, I am. It was a good car, and she Commodore nuts, so that'll be something we'll be tinkering with. So win-win there. The EJ is pretty good. That's going to get stripped right down to a bare shell. I'm going to buy a rotisserie, send the car off to be blasted, and then we can fix that whole car up properly. So everything is happening, everything's moving. Got a new oil and filter for the XB. I mean, I'm changing the oil at 2000 Ks. You might think that's a bit soon, but I'll spread the oil changes out further once I get a few more Ks on the car. Like the first oil change was at 500 Ks, and I've done another one at 2000 Ks, and probably at the next one I'll probably go 5000 Ks, and then I'll make it a 10,000 K gap. And you know, because it's still a fresh engine, I'd like to keep it as healthy as possible for as long as possible. And I mean, it seems a bit extreme, but who cares? I mean, you can change the oil every 5 minutes if you wanted to. It's not going to hurt the motor. But I just want to make sure it's super happy and has the best chance of life that you could possibly ever throw at it. But I'll show you what we're doing today, and we will start smashing it out. So here we go. Now this is your outer skin. This is the bit you actually see. Obviously quite a good chunk of it is covered in lead, and actually it was covered so much in lead that we didn't even know this was rusted. So what we're going to do, it'll be fairly straightforward. I'll probably just cut along here and put a piece in here that'll have that fold in it, and then we can weld that in, and then we'll do another piece running up here, fix that, fix all the flanges, re-sandblast it, coat the inside, and then we can put it back in the car and we will be laughing like schoolgirls. I gotta say, I'm pretty stoked with how the subscriber count is going on the YouTubes, because I've been stunned. Like, I picked up like 76 subscribers in 3 days. I don't even know how that is possible, but I'm not at all upset about it. So we're going gangbusters. So this little slot under there with a little bit of jiggling it a bit. One-handed, eh? Don't mind me. Oh, that's going to sort of sit in there. But yes, we're coming along quite nicely, and then we'll weld that back to the actual pillar on the inside, weld that to that, and tap these back up and weld them in all pretty, and obviously down the gutter as well. So, and then all that's going to be lovely, and we'll tap the roof skin down, but I'm still not sure what I'm doing about the roof. We've got a boroscope coming, which is one of those cameras on a long skinny thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shove it up inside the pillars and see if I can look at the inside of here and see how bad it is. So ideally I'd love to not take the roof off this car, but I still want to fix all the rust properly, so it's a bit of a here nor there thing. But this is what we're going to tackle in a minute. So this is going to be fairly straightforward. I'm just going to do a fold and put a curve into it, and then weld that to that, and then do the same here. It'll be 2 folds, technically 3 folds, but yeah, it'll be right there, and a piece doing down there. So I'll catch you up in a second. So chaps, I've got my next piece ready to rock and roll. I'm going to put this on there and then this back in the car, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to sit this in its original spot. I'm going to sit this in there, trim it up, and I'm going to tack them together and pull them back out, and then weld them together and then put it back in. Sounds like a convoluted way of doing it, but it does allow me to make sure it's all perfect when it goes in. So that's been a fun one to make, but I think I deliberately made it slightly bigger so that when I trim it down it fits perfectly. But we had to get rid of all this junk out of here, so that's now no longer there. It's fairly straightforward. It was 2 folds really close and then 1 fold, and then I actually did this one because the folded is a bit tricky to do stuff like that. I put it on the vise and tapped over it, so I'll neaten that up when it's all done, but it does allow you to send a fold in a different direction. And obviously as I go I'll need to tweak that sort of down and around the curve, but we are making good progress. So chaps, I have the piece ready to go in. All I've got left to do is put some plug weld holes through here like what it has there, and then that is good to go. The inside is all prepped up. I've been over here, step over that, and I've prepped up the inside of in here, wire wheeled them and scotched them and sprayed copper spray and made sure there's no rust on the inside of all the joins. So what we're going to do is put it in, and we can line it back up with all the original spot weld holes, so that'll be brilliant. And then we can weld through here, grind them, tap that back up and that back up, and re-weld them, and then we'll probably just have to leave it there because this stuff is horrendously time consuming and I've got to get home and help deal with a child. So that's life, unfortunately, but progress is being made. We're going to put this back in a jiff. Right, so I've started welding this back in, tap that back down, I've done a little weld across there, plug welded up that, plug. I've also had to drill, well when it was off I drilled holes in this and did 4 plug welds behind here to hold this to effectively this. So actually, sort of like that actually, it's going to be, this panel is welded to this, and then the quarter goes on, and then the roof goes on. So this panel was one of the first panels to go on the car. Actually, ironically, it's actually this one that goes on first, then this one, then this, then the roof. The roof's nearly always last, weirdly enough. So now that I've done that, I've ground down the welds. I've got a copper spray in there, and I can tap that back up and weld that seam back up and that back on, and then the quarter is reattached. And all that rust that was in there is no longer there. And I've still got to weld up through here, but I might just, for now, I'll do these ones across there, and that's all copper sprayed, so I can leave that. I need to get home. But yeah, making good progress. I'll get this done, then that, and then we'll just wrap it up and maybe throw a little bit of black hitch over it for the weekend. But we're making good progress. Well folks, that's all she wrote for this episode. I've still got a weld up here. I'm going to copper spray this in a second and just black etch across here, but all the rust is gone. I'm going to wire wheel this before I prime it, but the split's welded back up because obviously I had to cut it and then peel it open, and that's all done. So all of this, probably a whole hand width through there, is going to get lead wiped shortly, once I've got it all pretty, because that's what was the thing that covered it all up, and that's what's going to cover it up again. It's significantly prettier than how it was left by the last person, but of course when you grind out welds that have been MIG'd on and then you have to re-weld them back in, they're never going to be super pretty ever again. But at least I know for a fact there is no rust behind there, because we've all dug it all out and been all through there. So, and all these were put back on their original holes, so I know this is in its original spot. So that's end of part 3. Hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for more next week.